Hello, everybody. My name is Perry Giagos, and my business development representative here at TaxCycle. I also work with our clients here at TaxCycle to help them onboarding and help you with your technical and tax questions. I want to welcome you all to this webinar on review tools. Thank you all for coming. The agenda here for today is we're going to talk about review icons, and specifically how to recognize visual cues to tell you about the return status. We'll talk about how to find and resolve audit and review messages. We'll talk also about using quick fix solutions to save time and resolve errors. Also, how you can hide review message that you don't need, how you can add review marks and memos, and how you can use summaries in your review process. So without further ado, let's jump in. I do have a TaxCycle return already open in my system right now, and I've got this one here for Sam Adams. So what I want to talk to you, wherever I am in the return, okay, wherever I'm in the return, if I want to get to the prepare sidebar, excuse me, not the prepare sidebar, the review sidebar, and the review sidebar is here. This is the tab where I can see all my review and diagnostic messages in TaxCycle. If I want to get to that point, like I said, wherever I am, use your F9 key. F9 will take you to the review sidebar and see where you stand on these, and rather see the full list of error and review message. You can filter by the select type of message. As you can see here, automatically it shows me all my messages that require attention. Okay, so I have a mix of messages. Some of them are mandatory messages, like the red circle is a mandatory CRA message. The green circle with the red maple leaf and the red maple leaf with a green circle in the background, that's also mandatory e-file messages. So these are messages, critical messages I have to address. Now I could filter it even further in TaxCycle in the review tab. I could see all my messages. Okay. I can, if I wanted to, I can filter for my current form. I'm actually on the billing worksheet. Let me just change that to my info screen. And you can see now, these are all my review and diagnostic messages inside of, on my current form, on my info form. I could scroll this a little further and see my critical messages. These have to be addressed. I can scroll down for suggestions. These are messages that I can, they're only suggestions, but if you notice there's a little check mark to the right of that message, I can sign off on that message. So there's no issue at all. So if I wanted to sign off, just check it. That message is just gone away. It's not, I haven't disabled that message. I've just checked that and signed off that message with respect to this return. If I want to filter a little further, I could see my cautions, and these are my cautions. And once again, these cautions have little check marks, so you can sign off on these messages as well. So the next topic we'll mention on these particular review messages, let me go back in here and show you here all my messages. If you notice, it's a little blue hyperlink. So just by clicking on this blue hyperlink will take me exactly to the field where that the message is located. So click on marital status. There it is. There's my review message. There's the diagnostic, and I get a little pop-up that shows up here where I could answer the question right there and then. Okay, so you can do that, and you can see the hyperlinks are located throughout the review sidebar. Also notice, and this is important, each review message and diagnostic, there's a little color-coded triangle in the upper right-hand corner. For example, the marital status is in red, and that just basically gives you an indication of the severity of the review message. Red, it's a mandatory CRA or e-file message. If you scroll a little further down, green is also a mandatory message, not as severe as the red one, but it's still a requirement for CRA. And if you scroll a little further down, you see a couple of them have either a blue box. Well, this blue box is a suggestion, so that gives you an indication. Okay, this is only a suggestion. That's a message that I can sign off. And there would also be a little boxes. I don't see any on this particular return where actually we'll look at that. We'll go to the T4. And there you see the T4. If I make this a little bigger for everybody, you see a little yellow triangle, and that just basically tells you that that's a caution. So it's a visual cue to give you an indication of what kind of message it is and the importance of that message inside of TaxCycle. You will also notice that every review message in TaxCycle has this yellow background. All right, so everything yellow background has that review and diagnostic message. If you, for any particular reason, you wanted to turn that off, you could turn it off, and you go into File, you go into Options, and under Return Preparation and Review, you have that box where it says it's currently set checked off for me. I've indicated that I want a colored background on fields that have a review message. If I uncheck that and I click Apply, so what I've done, if you notice that the yellow fields are no longer there, they're hidden. That's because I've indicated on the return preparation to hide it. So if I want to put them back on, I just go back into Options, and I will go back into Options. I will go into back to return preparation, go back into Review, and I'll check that box off again, show a colored background of fields that have review message, Apply, okay, and there's the review message again. So it's really all up to you in terms of your personal preference, how you like to work in TaxCycle. Notice also in the fields, as I'm looking at the review message, there is a pop-up message of the review message. So you look at street, there's a pop-up message regarding the street. When I was looking at marital status, there's a pop-up message on the marital status, and I can answer the question right here and now. Okay, so you'll see those little pop-up messages as soon as I hover with my mouse throughout any questions, anything highlighted in yellow for review message. Next topic that I want to discuss is the topic of quick fix solutions that are available throughout your review sidebar. So I'll bring that up like that. So the quick fix tool solutions allows you to, rather than actually going and clicking on a hyperlink, let's say if I'm looking at this Elections Canada question, a hyperlink, I could click on the Elections Canada question. There's Elections Canada question, and I could answer the question here right now. I could answer yes or no. That now I'm spending a lot of valuable time trying to answer the question here. So instead of that, I could still remain in the review sidebar, and I could click on this little light bulb, and I can answer the question. On the Elections Canada, answer yes to the Elections Canada. I go in there on the foreign property, I'll click on the light bulb, no foreign property. Same thing on the question of the principal residence. Nope, they did not sell the principal residence. I actually have a T4 in here as well. I can enter the amount for CPP contributions. So you can see I'm not spending valuable time taking my eye away from the return. I can answer many of the questions. Many of them will have that quick fix option where you can click on that light bulb. Not all, but many will have that option to click on that. Now, they're also going back to a couple of questions of what I mentioned earlier about the type of messages that you had. As I mentioned here, critical messages. The critical messages, I don't have the ability to sign off that message. I do have a quick fix option here in marital status, so I can click marital status. I'll indicate here Sam is single. So I've clicked that question. Some of the other questions, though, like suggestions, the suggestion question. If I don't want to address that question, I don't want to answer that question, very simply, I click the little check mark. That message is signed off. Same thing with this one. Title, well, I have a quick fix, Mr. The email address, well, the client has indicated to me he doesn't want to provide me email address or any phone number, so I'll sign off that, check that off. All those messages have now been signed off, so I can pass on that if I choose to, or I can certainly leave them as is, because at the end of the day, they will not, suggestions and cautions will not prevent the e-filing of a return. As you can see, if I click on the Transmit tab, these are the critical messages that will prevent filing. But as you duly noted, that in a review, I had a lot of other suggestions and cautions, so it's my choice. Do I want to address that message? Maybe not. Do I want to check it off or leave it as is? It's your call. Now, The next topic I want to discuss is this question of the ability to let me go back into some of these message, and I come back into all messages, and you notice the ones I've already signed off on have the little check mark in there, right? These are many of the questions that I've already answered. They have that little check off that I've addressed. There are some questions, for example, like where if you click on the little light bulb, I have that option in light bulb on the signing date, or rather, let's take a look at this example, the T1DD. Every message will have this option to never show this message for any clients. That'll do just that. If I click on the little light bulb, this will hide that T1DD message for all T1 2023 returns. So if I want to do that, I want to never show this message, I've hidden that message. Now, thing is, I cannot do that on any messages that are critical or a CRA e-file error messages. So the missing province of residence, I don't have that option. You do have that option, of course, on suggestions and any of the on the cautions. Maybe if I accidentally click that little light bulb and I indicated never show this message for any particular client, how do I bring that back? Very simply, I will go back. I will go into TaxCycle. I will go into File. I will go into Options. Okay, and then in Options, I will look for T1, and I will look for Review. Key thing to note that in TaxCycle, there's over 5,000 review messages available in our modules. Many of them, of course, in our T1, but it's the count is over 5,000. So you can see now on the 2023, if I click on 2023 on this 2023 module, you can see all the review messages that I have in here right now. I can actually search. Let's say I look for search by T2125. These are all the review messages and diagnostics related to the T2125. If I wanted to notice that any message that has a little check mark but has a little grayed out, I'm not able to disable that message. But anything else like this T4, I can uncheck it. If I click apply, okay, that will disable the message right away for all returns. You could do a little housekeeping on that if you want to do it this way, or as you come across those review messages, hide them all together. But let's take a look at what we're looking at earlier. We hid that T1 direct deposit message. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove that T2125, and I'm going to see show only my disabled review message. There's that T1DD, the direct deposit message we were talking about earlier. All right, I hid that message for all my clients for T1 2023. If I maybe accidentally disabled that, no problem. I can check that back, click apply, and then click OK. And if I go back into suggestions, that message should reappear. There it is. There's the T1DD. Again, message that has reappeared. Next topic I want to discuss here is review marks. You can use review marks in TaxCycle to really, and when I talk about review marks, you can have first review marks, second review marks, questions, and corrections. And these review marks are available on your home screen right here, and you can see I could on my particular info screen. Maybe if all I have to do is I click on for starters, let's click on a question. Maybe there's a question about that SIN number. I've selected it, and you can see that question mark appears right there. So I can select, I can click on the field, and a question mark is added. If I want to select something else, if I actually wanted to select another question mark in a field, I could just click another field. Let's say in this case, I'll click on the birth date field, click it, and there, I've added another question on the birth date field. If I want to change that, I click select. Perhaps I have a correction somewhere. And I've got a correction. This marital status doesn't look right, so I'll just add a marital status here. Maybe the email address doesn't look right. I've added that. I could also add perhaps first review marks. What you will add first review marks, and maybe a couple of people are looking at the return. It's a good opportunity if I put first review marks here, maybe here. I'll put another one here and another one here. So I've added a couple of examples here. What this does now, it filters these particular returns. I go back into my review section. Now I can filter this. in TaxCycle, and I can filter these by questions. Notice that these are additional options that I have now. I can filter by questions. Well, these are all my questions that I had on this particular return. Okay, so I had questions. There was a question mark on social insurance number. No, that looks fine. All cleared. All I did was just check that field. Same thing with the birth date. That looks good. Checked it. If I filter down a little further, there are no more questions on my review messages. Okay, so I could filter it a little further for corrections. Yep, there's 2 questions in my review pane right now. One is on the marital status. The other one's the email address. But I click that. That looks fine. I click that. That's good. Now there's also review messages. Now I have first review messages. I am looking maybe as I'm going to be the first preparer on this tax return. So I've got 3 review messages. What I'm going to do is I'm going to look at them. They look fine. And I'm going to click that. That looks good. That looks good. But if you notice, it actually changed the color from blue to green. So it changed that color from blue to green. Now, when the next preparer is looking at that return, I've indicated that I want that preparer to take a second pass on those questions of concern. So there they are. There's the same message that were first review are now second review. The next preparer looks at this. Yep. I know we had question marks about this return early on, but it appears to be fine. So I've clicked that. I've clicked that, and then I've clicked that. And now all the review messages are now gone. There are no more first or second review messages. Okay. You can also, of course, inside TaxCycle, if I wanted to add any, let me just filter this and go back to see all messages. If I want to bring in any memos, no problem at all. I can just click. Well, actually, I need to click on a particular field. I click on this particular field, add a memo. Just indicate whatever that memo is, please review. I also have that option to carry forward that memo into the following year. I can also add a tape. I'll just close this here. I can't add a tape here, but I could do it on my T2125 that I have here. There it is, a T2125. And maybe I want to bring in some, is there anything here on expenses? Office expenses, and I click on the field and I just add my tape, right? So I can bring in the tape here and just expand that, add a description for whatever it is, staples, and then I've got the tape here, and I can also have that option carry forward those descriptions into the following year. Same thing now on my review side. I could see. I could see, for example, all my memos, and I'll just click here. There's the tape. So there's my memo that I had earlier. It's on my. It does tell you that it's on the info form, and I can certainly now, as a review message, I can sign off on it. I could just check off on it. It doesn't actually remove the review, the memo itself. If I want to review it, I can click on this little quick fix option on the light bulb, and I have that option to delete the memo. Similarly, if I'm looking for something here, there's the tape. There's the tape I've added on the T2125. That also appears as a check mark that I've looked at it, I've reviewed it, I've signed off on the tape. Okay. Now, the other thing I want to mention that all this activity, all these review marks, any overrides, anything I've signed off, a quick, easy access where you could see what the activity occurred, and if you want to track this information amongst team members, personnel, and staff, best place to do that is under File, and then you go into File, and then you go into Info. And yeah, we are in the info section right now, and look under history. So you can see here under history, it gives you a date, timestamp when the event occurred, who was the preparer, what version of TaxCycle they're on, and what occurred. So you can see that I signed off. I signed off on a lot of on the specific fields. Maybe I had a question mark. Maybe I had a sign. Maybe I had a first review message. So you have an idea of who did what in the return, who added the question mark, who signed off on the message. So it gives you a significant audit trail of what occurred inside of TaxCycle. Couple other topics I want to discuss here today, and in terms of review messages, is a function that we have here in TaxCycle, and it's called our data monitors. If you notice here in the on the bottom of the screen, these data monitors appear here. We have some preset values, including like you have prior year, maybe you want to see the spousal value, family refund, or balance due. So if you right click on any of the fields, if I want to increase the number of columns and I want to add, first of all, actually, I'll just mention, if I click on presets, you can see all the presets that are available to you. When you first open up TaxCycle out of the box, there might just only be a handful, but if I wanted to bring in additional ones, I could just click here to increase the number of columns. And you can see, let me do it one more time, increase the number of columns. Now you notice that I have 2 blank data monitors. So I can click here on the presets, and I could select another one. Maybe I want to select the taxpayer age on December 31st. And if you notice, I brought in that taxpayer age on December 31st, and now appears that's the age of the taxpayer. So we're on whatever form I'm on, I quickly always see the reference to the taxpayer's age on December 31st. Inside that data monitor, there's no limits, by the way, on how many data monitors you can have. You can have rows and rows of this inside TaxCycle, but I can also edit that particular. I have that option, of course, to delete the data monitor. I can also edit the data monitor. That's the taxpayer age on December 31st. It does show it color green. Maybe I want this to appear in black. So I want that information to appear in black. So I'll click OK. And notice it changed that color now to black. So you could change the color scheme here as well. I could also bring in other than the preset monitors that TaxCycle has. I can create my own. So let's say I want this T2125, and I definitely want to bring in. I want to see gross sales figure, right? So on this gross sales figure on box 3A of the T2125, maybe I just want to. I've clicked on that field. I go to the data monitor, and I'll click on the box that says monitor the current field, and there it is. So you can see now that the gross sales commissions or fees. Anytime I enter any amount, which I will, I'll enter 1,250,000. It now shows up on my data monitor here on the bottom of my screen in TaxCycle. So it gives you an ability to really track activity, track what's happening in the return in real time for any particular fields that are of interest to you. Next topic, as I mentioned, is that what I mentioned is the timer. If you notice here, there is a timer available here in TaxCycle. It is currently running here at the bottom of my screen. It's at the 18-minute mark. If I want to stop the timer, I could just by clicking it. That timer is now in red. That has been stopped. So I have that option to run the timer if I want to track it. Maybe I want to track how much time I spend in a return. I could do it that way. There's also that option here, and I've now just pressed it again. I've restarted it. You do also have that option here. I'll go into options, and if I remember correctly, it's under return preparation, and I think it's right here in the bottom. There it is, the timer. So I'm using the timer. I have that checked off. Using the timer, so it says to display the timer on the status bar, which I have, and it update the billing worksheet. So if I have my billing worksheet set up to bill by hour or time spent on the return, it's set up that way. But I also have that option to, if I wanted to check that off, automatically pause the timer. We're working in another program. So maybe I have Caseware, maybe I'm working in QuickBooks. If I'm not working in TaxCycle, I wanted to stop that activity. So I have that option to check that off and include it. And that's exactly what will happen in TaxCycle if you navigate away from the program. Folks, the last thing I want to discuss is the another very helpful review tool, and that's your 2-year summary variance analysis. So the 2-year summary variance analysis, if you want to find that form, will be under your correspondence. Okay, and it's right here. I actually also have it here in my favorites. Sorry, it's under summaries, not correspondence. 2-year summary, so it's under your 2-year variance summary, okay, or called 2-year summary. This is, I find, is a very helpful tool. This particular example, I had a 2022 return. I carried forward into 2023. So what this allows me to do is I can set up a variance analysis for Sam, and I could review specific boxes. So I could just say, I could check this off. And as you can notice here, I shows the amounts for 2023, shows 2022. It shows an entire report of what variance occurred. What was the variance in the fields from one year to the next? It shows you also percentage variance. And automatically, if I put a percentage variance or a dollar variance, it's automatically going to check off the box here in TaxCycle. So let's say I say anything over 5%. If I put 5%, or let's say $100 value, I could have chosen either percentage and $100 value, and a dollar value, or percentage or dollar value. Notice that it flagged these specific fields for a variance analysis. So employment, that line 101, I had a 15% variance, 66% variance here, 100% variance there. So it gives me an opportunity on this particular report where I can just put a note for my records here, reviewed and with client. And okay, so I mean, this is a good report that I can possibly send to my client, review with them, and have them look at it, and then come back and put my notes in there. And then if I've looked at this, we could see what else is happening in the return. If there's any specific changes that really are flagged for my attention, I can certainly put it on this kind of report. So it's a very handy review tool during tax season. That is all I have from my side in this review tools webinar. I want to thank everybody for attending here today. Thank you for your time. If you missed part of this session, the recording will be sent to you, and you'll be able to earn that professional development certificate. If you attended the full session, you will be able to download it right now. For any questions, feel free to reach out to us, any team member here at TaxCycle, or give us a call at 1-888-841-3040, or by email at support@taxcycle.com. I want to thank you for your time today, and have yourselves a great rest of the day.